Welcome to Rules of Villainy, where three new trading card game players quest and challenge their way to the competitive top tables and discuss their opinions on Disney's Lorcana. This is episode 21. This week we'll discuss the latest news in Lorcana, answer your questions, and discuss our initial thoughts on decks for Azurite C. I'm Villain Vince, joined by my two co-hosts as always, Villain Andy and the mayor of Lorcana, Brad. How's it going tonight, gentlemen?
Going. I got my butt kicked and sealed tonight, but I'm still staying strong.
You did better than I did in the rankings, though.
That makes me feel good. How about you, Andy? How'd you do?
I don't know.
You didn't win.
I say I did okay.
God.
Yeah,
I got
you
four of
didn't-
my six enchanteds.
Not tonight,
with me.
though.
No, tonight I got one.
Yeah, which one did you get tonight?
Basil.
Yeah, did you get it
Basil.
out of the six packs?
Oh my God.
No, I did not. I got it out of my prize packs for doing so well in the
Yeah.
tournament.
Yeah. How many prize packs did you get?
2.
2. Yeah.
Mhm.
How many rounds were there?
There were 3. I came in second place.
Okay. Yeah. No, you didn't come in second place.
No, I did.
No, you came in third place.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah.
Then you did the math wrong.
Nope.
Britt got ahead of you.
I had
Got ahead of you.
Oh, she also lost to Nick, huh?
Yeah,
So,
I think that was their
yeah.
game too. Yeah.
Yep. So unfortunately, no. You came in third.
Well, I
Yeah.
got enchanted, so
I mean, that's
I
nice.
won.
Nice, but you came in third.
Fine. What place you come in, Vince?
Anyway,
Uh,
next
Since
section.
you got the results there, let's
we're going to talk
check in
about.
on Vince.
We're going to
and
talk
Brad.
about how, besides that sealed experience, how was the rest of our sealed experiences?
Well, I got let's see, third on Monday. I got first on Sunday, and I got second on Friday.
Nice. So
Friday.
you got one first place, and then you came in last on all the rest. That sounds awesome, Andy.
We're not first
Brad?
or last.
Yep, that's right. If you're not
Got an
first or
enchanted
last,
in every one too.
Friday. I did okay. I was surprising. We did a best of one in the interest of time, and I lost the dice roll in my first game and thought well, my night's shot from there. But what I found out when I discussed with Andy later was that it seems to be better to be on the draw maybe in sealed, because on the 2 games that I played, I lost a dice roll in each of them and ended up winning those games to advance. But in the third game, I won the dice roll and I was feeling really good about going 3-0 on the night. And I lost that one. And I was like, well, the common denominator here was the person who went second won the game.
So they did best of one.
They did best of one. I think it was a time thing. It started late, and they wanted to close the store probably at a decent time. We had 12 people, which was a good turnout. But it was a best
That
of
is a
one.
good tournament.
At first I was turned off by it, and it's especially when I lost the dice roll. I looked over at Andy, Maggie's Andy, and I said, "Well, congratulations! You get your one drop. You're probably going to take this away." But I had the cards to pull it through. That Mr. Big is
Big.
Such a good
insane.
card.
I've had
He's
him in
big.
every.
He's a big card.
But yeah, I did all right. Had a fun time. It's always fun playing out at Grapes, and then tonight. Fun, of course, but I was just a mixture of tired and just kind of, the last 4 days of Lorcana have caught up to me. So, didn't do well, but always enjoy playing.
Yeah, I didn't do anything Friday. I was gonna go play at Bodax, but I didn't. And then didn't intend on playing on Monday.
Yeah.
Then we had an odd number, so I decided, I'll play. Started doing the sealed and constructing a deck, and then we got another player in, and I was like, well, I guess I'll
drop out. So I just bought 6 packs in.
So I just bought 6 packs. Wasn't bad though. I got 2 legendaries in those packs. I think I
One
got
of which
a Baymax and what was the other
Yzma.
legendary? Yzma, yeah.
Yeah, because she's one of 2 cards I don't have after basically opening a case and a couple troves. Missing Yzma and I'm missing the super rare Smee. So I saw you open those packs because it was between me and you on who's going to play. I was like, you play, Vince. I play a lot more than you do. And then you open the packs with the 2 cards that I need. And I'm like, dang it.
But you did buy a box.
I did.
And You want to
Yeah,
tell
and
folks
Enchanted
last pack.
Rafiki. Last pack magic in the box. I ruined the
Last
video
pack.
too. I was doing a video of pack pulls and for content, and it's the last pack of the box, and I'm just kind of skipping through it. I forget to hit record, so the pack's already open, and then at the end of the thing, I just kind of pull up the last card and I see the enchanted logo, and I take it off screen, and I'm like, got it. But I didn't actually do that. I didn't yell and scream like everybody expected I would. I was just like, I was done with opening packs because I thought it was a dud, and then it was in the very last one, and I ruined the whole piece of content.
Yeah. I had to buy my first enchanted of the set because I got a case. It was a no enchanted case. And I ultimately bought the card that was probably supposed to be in my case because I
Yep.
bought it from
Heather.
who got
Who had-
two in her case,
Yep, from the same
which,
store.
makes me feel some sort of way about it.
Poor
Hey, now we
enchanted Miss Vince.
all three of us now have enchanted Rafikis, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I'll take it.
It's meant to be.
It was a
It was
good
meant to
deal.
be.
It was a good deal.
I
Andy,
did
you
want
got
to. Yeah, I just did want to tell Brad that I think it's confirmed. I won all games on the draw, and I chose to go on the draw on all of the die rolls I
Really?
won and all the games that I had the choice in, except for game 3 of the last match against Nick, and I chose to go first, and I lost that game.
Well,
So
it didn't work for me in my
Wow.
favor because I played Nick and Ron both tonight on the draw, and they're both good players and completely wiped the floor with me. So
I don't know that it would have mattered. Nick did have some really good cards in the deck.
He did.
And he definitely knows how to play the game. So
Yeah.
it was an uphill battle.
Yeah. So we also have some news for the collab videos that are out. Brad, you want to tell the listeners?
Yeah, sure. Today, well, not today when you're listening to this, but earlier this week, the video released of Be Our Guest, where Andy and Vince, I want to say guest hosted his show to break down the Sapphire cards in the new set and whether or not what their rankings were in draft and sealed, or was it all draft? I'm only
Draft.
about part way
Mostly
through the video.
Yeah.
But looks incredible. I've watched about 15 minutes of it already. Think the guys sound great. Looks like it was a lot of fun, and I encourage everybody to go check it out. We'll have a description or a link in the description down below. And who else did we collaborate with, Andy?
Yeah, I think we teased it last time or mentioned that it would be coming out, but last Friday it was released, our collab with Citizens of Lorcana. Jared and Dan Regal, James.
James.
We had a great time hanging out with them. We talked about some Azurite C stuff, some underrated, some overrated cards. We chit-chatted a bit about our journeys through Lorcana and told some great stories and had a lot of fun. So definitely go check that out. We'll have all the links and the good details below.
Yeah. As Brad is writing notes about what he needs to put in the links.
It'll be there. It will absolutely be there.
And with that, we'll move on to answer your questions with Constituents Corner with the mayor. Mr. Mayor, take it away.
Sure. Our first question is from our Discord from Zyler37. He asks, so just curious, what do you guys think of a mill deck now that some of the new Amethyst cards are out? And I put 3 of the cards in our show notes. Obviously, the listeners can't see them right now, but the 3 cards that stood out were Very Merry Unbirthday, which is each opponent puts the top 2 cards of their deck into their discard. It is a 1-cost action song. Mad Hatter's Teapot is an item that costs 1 ink to exert, and each opponent puts the top card of their deck in the discard. And the Mad Hatter himself, which is a 1-cost character, 1/1. And he, whenever this character quests, you may look at the top card of a chosen player's deck, put that card back on their deck or in their discard. So a lot more milling options here than have previously had before. What do you guys think? Is mill a viable effort here in Lorcana yet, or is this just the start of what could be a method to beating your opponent?
Look, I just want to start off by saying my co-host Vince here will likely try and convince all of you listeners out there that running 72 cards is now about to be the craze because Mill is gonna be in like resist, okay? But before you hear
it's so
that
funny
slander and
that you would say
blasphemy,
that because my answer to this is just play 72 cards. What are you gonna do? Mill me?
yeah,
Good luck,
exactly.
buddy. Good luck. 72 cards.
In reality, though, I think that even with 60 cards, which most sane, Lorcana players are playing, if you think about it, you got to think about it like this: 60 is now their like lore count or their life total. If you've played other card games where you sort of chip away at someone's life total, 60 is a lot, right? Sure, they're milling themselves one card every turn. Plus, everyone loves to draw cards, Amethyst, Sapphire. But you're getting 2 times 4 for the Merriam birthday. That's 8 cards. Getting 1 per turn for Mad Hatter's 4 per turn if you had all 4 of them out there.
Yeah.
And then the Mad Hatter really only gets 1 unless you're spending a lot of other time, protecting them. I think most decks will just like win the game while you slowly try and get rid of their cards, right? Like you need to now put other cards in to help sort of control the board and do this. We need more. We need a big Mad Hatter. We need a shift Mad Hatter that says whenever you play this character, if you use shift to play them, discard the top 10 cards off your opponent's deck.
Woof.
Now we're talking.
Yeah.
Right?
And
now
then we're talking. Ban that card.
Yeah.
No, it's fine.
It would have to be some kind of crazy shift cost and whatever to
So maybe it's
pull
5.
10. I mean, a
off
whole
the
new
top
world
of the
doesn't even
deck,
pull
but-
10 off the top.
No,
Yeah.
I agree with Andy here on this. That I just don't think. I don't think Mill in Amethyst is actually the answer. I think Amethyst is trying to do other things, and so I think we're a long ways off from Mill. I do think maybe there's I don't know. Emerald is really always, I feel like, the color Emerald Steel is always kind of the Mill combo if you're trying to build out. But I don't still see Mill being a super
not this card.
viable tactic here. No, but I mean, you're following in the trap that I think a lot of people do, which is that Emerald only does discard, and it doesn't. It does other things too.
But it doesn't mill. Mill is not one that milling is taking a card off your discard or your deck and putting it in your discard. That's the definition of what milling is, I believe. Making your opponent run out of cards.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess you could say that
is making them run out of cards.
draw cards is potentially considered milling because now they're running out of cards.
Right.
But Emerald doesn't do that either.
Yeah, I don't know if you meant Emerald or if
Amethyst is the mill deck, the mill color, because it's the only color that can force, other than Whole New World, it's the only color that forces your opponent to take cards out of their deck. Yeah. Emerald is what makes them discard.
I've always had the most luck with milling. The couple mill wins that I've had, one in Seattle actually even, came from Blue Steel, where I'm ramping up to and it was fortunate enough to be in a against Red Blue, who's constantly drawing cards and siphoning through their deck, right? So that like before he knew that I was fortunate enough to draw into every Whole New World, which is 7 cards off the deck at a time. He was taking his Hiram draws and his Popsicle draws and everything he could to find the answers that he needed for my board. My answer to this question was going to be, I feel like these are cute steps. I like that they're thematic to all be in an Alice in Wonderland to some kind of amethyst steel mill with the draw power and the siphoning off of their deck, and then the Whole New World to take that bulk 7. But I don't know that there's enough there in that color combination, which I think is the only one to use. Maybe Blurple, if you wanted to do like Friend Like Me and stuff like that. That's 3 at a time.
Friend Like Me, you could. Yeah, you definitely could maybe put a Sapphire mill for sure. Yeah.
So if you wanted to pair these 3 cards with Sapphire or Steel, I think it could be fun. I don't think it is a viable, like, you build around it for fun. You don't build around it to be competitive. A mill mill win, but it's fun when it happens. I did it against a Diablo player that drew 14 cards and then did it again. I got rid of Diablo and did it again, so that's 14 cards that just went straight to discard. And but yeah, I think it's steps. I think it's baby steps toward toward that kind of win condition, but not fully there yet. Any last words?
I think the thing is mill is just not a consistent thing to do yet, and I don't think these 3 cards advance that at all. And yeah, I think you're right. I must have been thinking about something else. Amethyst.
These are the first
right,
3.
Hold on, please. Well, the amethyst steel is the right mill color, but I do agree with Brad that I think you could make an argument that sapphire, especially with cards like Friend Like Me, can get there.
Yeah,
got any last words, Andy?
Yeah, these are the first 3 actual mill cards, right? Because Friend Like Me was the other purple one that you can force them to draw 5, right? And even A Whole New World, all of those technically take cards off the top of their deck, Chromacon and stuff, but they're really giving an advantage to them as well, right? Like giving them cards, giving them ink and stuff. So Brad's right. This is definitely the first step towards actually just like these just say like straight up, instead of one jump it right into your discard.
Yeah, you could even put Merlin's Cottage out and see what they're discarding from those, in the Blurple combo. So
Blurple mill stocks rising. All right,
let's go.
Andy building it next.
Moving on. Second question is from Martin from our Discord. He asks, with Continentals and Worlds around the corner, what's your favorite ride on property? What's your favorite thing to do when you go to the Disney parks? I'll start with Vince.
So I have not been to the parks in like 15 years.
Okay.
It's been a long time. So that's why I'm really excited for Worlds. But my favorite ride, it has to be Space Mountain, because I turned into a 5-year-old child when I was there, because I was like in my late 20s at the time.
Sure.
Or I guess like mid 20s. And I was like, I would get on the ride and I would get off and be like, let's go again. Dragging like my college friends back on the ride and stuff. So it's just so fun. So that's, I think, for me, the ride. The second part was, what's your favorite thing to do?
Yeah, between foods, rides, pin trading.
Yeah, so I didn't even know pin trading was like a thing until relatively recently. Like, I didn't realize how like common that was, and like now I got all these Lorcana pins, so I'm actually like pretty excited about that. But for me, it's always about the rides,
Sure.
And so I'm excited. I don't know which parks we'll end up going to, but I'm super excited about that. About going on rides. The only caveat I will say is at some point I do want to do the Food and Wine Festival at Epcot at some point.
Absolutely have to. Best time of the year to go.
Nothing but good things about it. I've never done it. But if that were the case, I'd say food.
About you, Andy?
So I definitely think honorable mention goes to Space Mountain. That's a great ride. I think younger me would have probably said like Rock and Roller Coaster, but having gone recently within the past couple of years, the new rides just really outshine a lot of the older ones. I think Vince is going to be an even younger child when we get to go and he gets to ride the advances in roller coaster technology. Let me tell you, the Guardians of the Galaxy ride is so good. It's like Space Mountain, like on steroids. Like it's the most expensive ride I think that's ever been built by anyone. I've seen this pop up recently, the like top most expensive built rides, and it's like it's indoor again. It's like dark. It's got that Space Mountain-y vibes to it. It's I don't even like Guardians of the Galaxy that much, but that ride is good.
He's not kidding. It's incredible. Space
So
Mountain on
good.
steroids is the best description to give Guardians. Again, that's what I was going to wait to tell you on my turn was that, and the fact that you can ride it 6 different times and it be different because it's because of the Guardians of the Galaxy theme. they have a playlist, and so you don't always get the same song. So it's just so much fun.
Yeah.
I have heard that the Avatar ride is really
Yes.
great in Animal Kingdom too.
Oh yes, absolutely ride that. And even
We
if
skipped
you're
that.
a big Star Wars fan, you need to do Rise of the Resistance at Hollywood Studios.
Assuming it doesn't break.
Is that the
is it
one where you
always
get to
down?
control the
It's-
ship and stuff?
No, that's the I forget what that's called. That's the Falcon.
Smuggler's
Falcon.
Run.
Smuggler's
I think
Run,
is what it's
correct, yeah.
called.
Yep.
We did that
But-
one, and it was we had like a Disney Pro on it, like a Disney park. Someone who had just ridden it like 100 times. They like knew all the people, like the workers there, as they were getting in line and stuff.
Yeah.
And we were like doing the job, pressing the buttons, doing the thing. And this one poor lady, who I don't even know if she spoke English, was like driving or something like that. One of the important jobs, apparently. Mine was just pushing a button.
Yeah.
And this like Disney Pro lady was like yelling at her like it was the Super Bowl and she was about to lose. Like, no, you got. And I was like, wow, I feel bad for that lady, but this ride's cool. Let me keep pushing my button.
Some people role play in that immersiveness of Galaxy's Edge. Like it's really cool. When you go over there, you'll be blown away by walking into these shops and these bars that are themed around Star Wars. Like I'm really impressed with how it feels.
Yeah.
And I've heard the Smuggler's Run. It depends on whether you do the piloting or the battling, how much fun you'll actually have. But Rise of the Resistance is absolutely a Star Wars experience for you, especially Vince, that you will absolutely enjoy.
I'm excited.
Well, I think my favorite experience though is definitely the food. I did get to go during the Food and Wine Festival, but honestly, the egg rolls in Magic Kingdom, it's like this little cart that just had like cheeseburger egg rolls and pizza egg rolls. I think we went back to that like 3 times. We waited by it in the rain until it wasn't raining enough so that they could open it back up so that we could get fresh egg rolls. And it is
that definitely seems like a Kirsten thing to do for sure. Like we needed more egg rolls.
I was on board with it. The egg rolls were really good, and there was a lot of other really good food. But just a lot of their food is just so great for how mass produced it essentially is. They do a really good job.
I would wait in the rain for Reckless's mom's egg rolls. We've all 3 had them from his party last month. Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
But Disney, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time here because I could talk the rest of the night about at least Disney World. I've only been to Disneyland once, where Continentals is, so there's plenty to do there that's enjoyable. I'm kind of a show guy. Like at Hollywood Studios, I love to close the night out with Fantasmic, the water show that they have there, the Beauty and the Beast show. You already mentioned Guardians of the Galaxy. My favorite thing to do, food wise, at Magic Kingdom is go straight to Gaston's Pub and get a LeFou's brew. I don't know what it was that first day that I had it, that it put me in a mood that I'm like, wow, this is delicious. And every time I go back, I get it. And there was one time, even when I went back for the Dopey Challenge in 2022, that I couldn't wait all day to go there and get it. And I went to get it before the fireworks. The pub was closed, and I was devastated because they closed at like 6 or something. I don't remember the time, but I couldn't believe I didn't get it. But it's so good. It's like a frozen apple juice. I don't know everything that's in it, but it comes. You can get a souvenir mug that I don't think so. There might be an alcoholic version. I
think there are only like a few places on the parks that you can get alcoholic beverages, right?
In Magic Kingdom, they don't serve alcohol. I don't think.
No.
You're right.
Then
in the other parks, they do.
Yeah,
like a lot, like really good drinks. Animal Kingdom, especially, a lot of good drinks. We rode the Everest ride several times.
Sure.
Yeah, and I know at Epcot they've got alcoholic drinks in all of the
absolutely do the food
drinks around the world.
Yeah, and then I know in at least with I think it's Ogle's Pub. No, that's not right. The cantina that's supposed to be in
Star Wars.
The Star Wars thing, which I know there are people like madly, fiercely typing and correcting me at the bottom. Totally fine, please do.
We can
Make sure you
activate the
subscribe.
wrong lever next week.
Yeah, right. One thing I'll just add though, real quick, as a story is that when I went the last time, so like I said, I was in my early to mid 20s, and I had fond memories of it as a child of writing It's a Small World After All,
Oh.
and so I wanted to go write it again.
What was it like in your
Oh,
20s?
no.
Let me tell you what, I could not wait to get off of that ride. Let me tell you this much. That ride is pretty. The animatronics in there and like the dolls, all very, very pretty and stuff. But that
Very.
song,
There's a reason why Scar tells Zazu to shut up when he starts singing it in The Lion King.
is like, I am like, I get it. It's a small world, okay? Stop. I feel sorry for all parents that have to ride that ride with their kids. They should give like parents earplugs like as they get on.
Yeah. Or
But
just put their kids on the boat and be like, "Here, I'll wait for you over here." Before we move on, I'd be remiss not to mention Big Thunder Mountain at Magic Kingdom. That was Emily's favorite ride there last year, and she's bummed that when we go back in February that it's going to be shut down still. So, Big Thunder Mountain, incredible roller coaster there in Frontierland. It's Frontierland, right? Is
Magic
that a
Kingdom,
land? Yeah, Magic Kingdom. So, or is it Adventureland? I don't know.
yeah,
Big Thunder Mountain. Go there.
Still gonna be a shutdown?
She told me it was. I think that
Yeah. They're shut down.
her
for a
knowledge
while.
it is. If it's not, then maybe it'll be a big surprise for her when we get there. But I'm sure she'll know ahead of time because she can't wait to go back. But yeah, anything else on the Disney attractions?
Nothing for me.
All right, we got one more question from Jake, also from our Discord local. He asked, "What is our favorite new legendary and our least favorite new legendary in the Azurite Sea set?" Who wants to start?
How about you go first, Brad?
I go
Yeah.
first. Okay. I think all of our least favorites will probably be the same. So I will leave that to Andy or Vince to see if that's correct. My favorite art wise, I think, is Kendall Hale's Simba. The Amber 5-cost uninkable. He's really cool. I want to try to make him work in a couple decks, but I think playability wise, with what I want to do in some capacity is the new Baymax. Whenever you quest and play him, he heals and you get lore for each point of damage that you heal with him. So those are my two favorites, and I'm really curious to see if Andy or Vince say what my least favorite is, and I will confirm when they do.
Andy, you want to go?
Sure. I think my favorite has to probably be the Maui Half Shark.
Sure.
I think that's a really good card. We'll probably talk about it more later in the main segment, but we saw a recent, couple pro players playing, and one of them used it to great success. It is quite the card, just to say the least. I'm excited to see how the lists build out with that card. And then I think my least favorite, the worst legendary of this set, has to be Genie.
You're joking. You're joking.
I knew I'd get Brad with that one. Yeah, no, I honestly don't like the Genie. But
Was that yours, Brad?
No.
Oswald,
God, no.
maybe.
I love the Genie.
So I am with Andy on Maui being my favorite legendary. One, I think the artwork is incredible.
Yes.
In fact, like I totally forgot about this. Ron and I were playing, and he asked me like what was my favorite like artwork of the set, like or card. And I just kind of like struggled, and he was like right off the bat was like Maui Half Shark, and I was like absolutely 100%. And I just think it's a great playable card, and a card that I'm really excited to test in decks. I think I have 2, maybe 3 of them now. So got pretty lucky there, even though I didn't get so lucky with the Enchanteds. For me, I think, yeah, Oswald, I think, is the legendary for me, just because I think it's was really hyped up at the beginning. And I think folks are now finally realizing, oh, this card isn't as playable. You know, the thing with this card, I have to say, is like you need a really high item count in order for it to be super effective. And I just don't think you can play enough items to make this card reliably hit. And I almost certainly don't think it's going to survive another turn.
Okay. So I'm confused because I really expected everybody to hone in on one card. Oswald, I think, could be fun to play. I agree with you that maybe he was overhyped. Maybe nobody's making him work correctly, but I'm super bummed that the art for the baby Hercules is so good.
It's so good. Yeah.
And that card is so bad. I don't know
It's too
how
bad.
that card gets any play whatsoever. So I assumed that all three of us were going to say that card. That was my least favorite in the sense of playability. I don't know how that card gets played. I think the art on it is so cute, so good. So maybe that's why you guys passed over it too. But as far as the 12 cards here in front of us, that's the last one I think I would ever play.
I don't know. Genie's pretty bad.
Okay. So that's it for Constituents Corner.
But yeah. But yeah, if you have any other questions, please leave your comment below in the video, or you can also join the conversation over at our Discord and ask questions as the mayor begs every week in the Constituents Corner channel. We appreciate everybody for their questions. And with that, we're going to move on to the main segment today and talk a little bit about our initial thoughts on decks for Azurite C. But before we start, we just got to say that some of these decks have come from the North American versus EU challenge that's currently ongoing, I believe, right? It's still ongoing.
Yeah, it will be for a while.
Yeah. And right now, from what I understand, North American content creators not doing very well.
Got their first win today.
They did. We thought it was going to be a blowout. Sailor got a win over Earl today.
Okay.
But a lot of people were saying it was going to be a blowout for North America. If you look at the rosters, no offense to any of the people, I love all of the people on both sides. North America just had like DLC winner after DLC winner after, like, you know, pro player, like all these players who are former pros and other TCGs who have been topping DLCs. And then on the EU side, they had a lot of content creators, players who are definitely very good, but are definitely content creators first. You know, Kawa from Podcana even said this himself. He was like, you know, I'm not the best player. Maybe you should vote for someone else. And you know, Spessy filled in for Moyen, I believe. Again, great content creator, but a lot of people were saying NA's got this in the bag, and it's what now 4 wins for EU and 1 for NA. So
I believe so.
I
check-ins.
I kind of thought it was over. That, like, you know, GG. Let's see you next year at the next tournament. But apparently it's like 4 rounds of Swiss, followed by a top 4 cut. So in that case, no problem. We got this. We're just, you know, chilling. We're just chilling, you know. We don't want to give it our hardest at the beginning, right? You got to pace yourself. We got this.
It's still early. We can still come back. We can make a comeback here. You know, we got some good folks. So what decks stand out so far that we're excited about or excited to try?
The one that stood out to me the most today was Frank Karsten played DeCandio. It was an Amber Steel mirror. But I guess Karsten was more on the Steel Song aspect than DeCandio was. But you know what the game-winning card was for Karsten?
What?
Our boy Gantu.
Oh,
Yeah.
Gantu.
Gantu, baby. The
The
new
5-drop?
Set 6 Gantu. Yeah.
The
He's
5
seeing
drop.
play in pro decks, and I'm like, okay, he's not just a sealed event card. He's gonna find play in these.
Good card. Good
Yeah.
card. I've gotten it twice now and sealed.
Congrats.
I got one in
Andy.
field last night too.
Andy pulled one tonight, and he was sitting across from me while he was opening. He showed it to me. He goes, "GG, I win."
Yep. Gantu.
Yeah, if you
We
can get
got
to
it.
the card.
Yeah.
I got to it plenty of times. I got to
He's only
Gantu,
5.
and then you play Longboat, and you give Gantu evasive, and you just quest every turn with
Oh my God.
Gantu. And
You got longboat. I didn't even think
brutal.
about longboat.
Yeah. Speaking of Gantu, though, he's also a 4 of in Spessie's list, which is actually Moyen's list. But Spessie made sure to say that Moyen based it off of Spessie's previous list. So it's definitely a Spessie X Moyen collab list. But Spessie said he was adamant that 4 Gantus was the only correct number, and he didn't want to go down on Gantus. I do think he inked Gantu in every single game he played.
So are we going to eventually have to not apologize to Gantu because he may one day be the villain of the week? What do we do, guys? I'm worried now. I'm worried. Our running gag may end.
Well, listen. It's not a gag. It's like I offer my sincerest apologies to Gantu. All hail. But he seems to be a card that's going to be reckoned with in this set and in the future. And I mean, just the fact that he quests for 4, there's not many cards that do that. And the most recent one is Mufasa, and he costs 8 uninkable. This is an inkable 5 cost that comes out, and he's a 5/4 and quest for 4. It's absolutely insane. And I thought it was going to be, as we discussed, a limited event kind of card, or limited format kind of card. And when he threw that down today on his second to last turn, I was like, oh my God, that's going to win him the game. And it did. And I'm excited about it.
Dime on 7. And then next turn you could play Gantu and pop the dime, even without inking further. So Gantu is, I think, the cheapest 4 lore character that exists, right?
That's right.
Probably.
Yes. Yeah, it is.
I'll look it up.
I can say with confidence, as a person who has run tournaments. No, I'm just kidding. That's an inside joke. I'm pretty sure, but yeah, Brad's gonna give it a check.
There's the Flynn Rider, but it's not a true 4 lore because it depends on
it's
the
about
cards in their
card.
hand.
Yeah.
Right. But before it was the Robin Hood. And the best part of the 6 cost Robin Hood 4/5, the best part is they lowered the willpower. So it still dodges Medusa. Apologies to Medusa. Gantu is the real villain.
Before we have to pull the wrong lever on me next week, Gantu's a 4/3, not a 4/5, or a 5/4, like I said earlier. I don't know why I thought that.
5/4.
good.
Yeah, no, he's a 4/3.
Yeah.
Oh, good. So yeah, I mean, I'm looking at Spessie's deck here. Man, the screen grab you got. Red makes Spessie look so emo. It's so funny.
That's not my screen grab.
That's mine.
No, I said Andy.
Oh.
Or if I said Brad, I meant Andy. But yeah, so the 4 Gantu in there, is that and then the White Rose, which is another card as a common that I actually think so that's the card that I actually told Ron that I really liked because it's, basically like a mini goat in some ways, right? And it's a good way to kind of close games, because sometimes, when you're in those games where it's like hard to get something down on the board to close it out, like you get to 18, 19 lore, and it's like you just need 1 or 2 more lore, and now you have another utility that card comes down, gain 1 lore. Such a great utility that I think we'll start to see played in more decks.
Absolutely.
I think a lot of people it's one of those predicaments that we have with Genie and Rabbit too. Like, which do you play? Because they both draw you a card, but the Rabbit and the Goat get you 1 more, card or lore on enter and exit the board, right? So I agree. You get the flower in cheaper. You can bounce it, but you're missing that extra lore. But just you just play it again.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Spessie's list also is void of Merlin Rabbit.
Yeah.
I know that the official position of the Rules of Villainy podcast is that the rabbit is the GOAT currently. That
It's
it
a
is.
rabbit.
I think I've said it multiple times. I think it's the best card in the game. However, I do understand the argument of in this sort of list, like Spessie's running in this steel amethyst sort of low to the ground. The genie threatens so much more lore gain, and the extra card draw from rabbit is not as valuable as the additional lore gain. You're really just trying to gain lore. Like Vince said, you've got 4 white rose, 4 Merlin goats, so you're just 8. That's 8 free lore there. You want to try and threaten as much as possible.
Well, and you've got Diablo in there, so you've got card draw options in there in the low slots. Basically, so every 1 drop, can or does draw you a card at some point.
With the Maleficent,
they run the dock as well.
Right, and it runs Calhoun for lore gain in that 2-drop slot. So that's I think that's a card we're gonna see more frequently of. Looking at everybody's favorite deck, Emerald Steel, which Zan is still piloting here. Looking at some of the tech options that he looks like the only change was the Pluto.
Just a single
card.
Pluto. Just
Single
one
Pluto.
card.
And that card is such a good card.
It is.
That is
man,
an amazing card. I bet he unfortunately for NA lost his match, but I'd be willing to bet he wishes he has more Pluto in his list. That card is,
he's a good boy.
He's a good boy.
He's such a good boy.
Because it's one of those cards where we've talked about that, you look at it, you see it's 1/5, but it's got that Lawrence effect until it has damage. It's a 5/5.
5/5, yeah. I do think that it is a little more effective in like the Amber Steel lists. I think both DeCandio and Karsten. I know that Bivens had it in his list. He had 4 of them actually in his list, and running things like the Daisy Duck and the Piglet and Lawrence as well. Smee, you get a wide board out there and you drop this Pluto, and it's like really hard to trade with. So that's also another really good card I've seen in a lot of different lists that I think will.
Did you hear why Bivens said he runs Piglet? He hates Piglet and Nala.
Right.
He said the only reason I run Piglet is because Ravensburger said I can't run 8 Smees.
Yeah, that makes sense. I would run 8 Smees if I could. Has he considered Calhoun? Right.
Good question.
That's uninkable, but also
I think that might have come up. The uninkable part is very when he was questioning about some cards. Calhoun might have been one of them, but the uninkability of it is what really turned him off because he wanted to stay at the number that he was at.
Yeah.
He's a 4, 8, 12, 16. He's a 16 uninkables. So Calhoun would be 2 more, put him in 18. That is kind of high for a Steel Song, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But then, so looking at Artifacts' aggro Amethyst Emerald, which beat Zan's deck. And you see the addition here of what is it? So we got the Diablo, Gazelle, the Genie, the Go-Go, which a phenomenal card. Honestly, really
won him the game.
Great card.
I gave Vince grief tonight for playing Go-Go on 2. He's like, "What else am I gonna do?" I'm like, "No," but it was limited.
Limited. That's a perfectly fine.
Yeah, because
Go on 2. He just quests forever with the evasive. He can take out a Markowski later. Okay, sorry, but I think I'm pretty sure he ran a goat into into the Pluto, I believe it was, and played the Go-Go Tamago. So he got the lure off the Pluto, or off the goat dying to Pluto. Pluto had 4 damage on it, and then he played Go-Go Tamago and got 4 lore off this. It was a 5 lore swing. I was like, what a card, mate.
I did that
good
tonight
card.
to Hannah in my last game. It felt bad. It was cool to see that effect in person, but I felt bad because it was so late in the game, and I was holding on to Go-Go for that example. And it was absolutely no, it wasn't against Pluto. It was against Basil, where the shifted Basil even where I threw the rabbit into him to put more damage on him, so he had 4 damage on him, and then played Go-Go to get that 4 lore. It was just it's so sudden. You don't see it coming.
The way like the the way that you saw like Zan have to play around this card was, you could see him sitting there thinking, and I mean the casters did a great job. They were basically saying that like, he knows the Go-Go is there, and so it's not like, oh, what if he had Goat Bounce in his hand, right? Like, what if I have too much damage on one of my characters and he just Go-Goes for way too much in lore? So it's definitely adds like a really interesting aspect to playing against Emerald, and just a great way to get free lore. There's a lot of free lore in this list from Artifacts.
I definitely, well, yeah, he's got the White Rose, which we were just talking about. I just think that Go-Go card is going to be one of those staples of a lot of decks as people start to see the utility on, because it is a hard card, I think, to play around, right? Because like you said, you've got to think now, okay, I can quest, but it's like, actually, it's like they'll have to make unfavorable trades if they want to take it. But in some cases, maybe they don't want to make those unfavorable trades. They just want to put damage on your character, play the Go-Go, get that effect. Because I think about that last game at Fortuna tonight that I was playing with Ron, and it's like, had I not inked Go-Go earlier in that game, still had it in my hand, I could have won that game.
Yep.
Because I had enough lore on board, and I could just, have the damage that was on his characters. So I just think it's one of those cards that is hard conceptually to play around, given how it operates.
Yeah, she's very much a reason why I think Baymax would be a fun addition, and maybe even a needed addition to my Blurple, which I know some other creators that I follow are running that Baymax now too. But the fact that we have to be conscious of just how much damage is on our board now, there's other cards that have had the function of like, for each damaged character do this, but the fact that such massive lore gain can be gained for four ink at any time in the game really makes you start to think, hey, I better do something about this damage before that Go-Go comes out and just,
well, I think it's one of those reasons though why, there's a lot of like, why would you play the Jumbo Pop, right? And like, actually, I think there might be good reasons to play the Jumbo Pop now, because it just doesn't heal it heals all characters up to 2 damage, right? I'm saying that is right, right?
Yeah, I think it's
banish this item, remove up to 2 damage from each of your characters, and draw a card.
Right.
And draw a card. So it cantrips on itself, and it heals 2 damage. And like, listen, do I think that's the card I would absolutely automatically add? No. But when you're thinking about answers to play around and stuff, you've got cards like Baymax, you've got cards, you've got your popsicles that can heal. Now you've got Jumbo Pop too. Maybe you don't play. I'm not saying I would play 4 of them. Like I play
0.
I might play 1.
I might not play Jumbo Pop. I was just thinking,
That's better
maybe
healing.
I would think in Sapphire, maybe you ever as before, and a 2 inkable song comes out where you can heal 2 damage off everything.
Isn't there like magic golden flower that you can like just consistently heal over and over
I
again?
think you
Right?
banish that flower though.
Yeah,
When
banish the flower.
Yeah.
Baymax's healthcare chip works.
Yep.
Oh, I'm
It
thinking
heals
of
one.
Amber. Amber has the healing
Amber has
decanter.
all the healing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, they've got a
Amber.
lot of healing. I think Baymax is actually really nice. I think that's interesting that you bring that up, Brad, because that's kind of it's almost. I mean, it only heals 2,
Yep.
but it heals 2 on like on the ETB, like when it enters the board. So if you think about it, Gogo can come down on 4 to to enter and use the kicker to gain lore off a damaged character. And so if you have 2 damage on a character, Gogo comes in, you get 2 lore on enter. You could then play Baymax on 5 on the following turn, right? And heal
Also,
that
lore.
same 2 that they targeted and then just gain the same amount of lore back. And a 2/6 that quests for 2 is definitely, I think, a little more valuable than a 2/2 that even if it has evasive. And the ability continues every turn if you don't answer that Baymax. And so I'm not convinced on Baymax being the best card for any list, but I do think that's a really interesting sort of counter to and like you said in Blurple, the instant lore gain is sort of that, that's the money cards,
Right.
is being able to just get lore out of nowhere.
My question to you though is does a card like Go-Go make a deck like Baja Blast more possible?
Maybe.
I don't know. I don't know necessarily. I mean, for Go-Go, you really need your opponent one to have damageable characters, right? So Go-Go works not as great in certain scenarios, like more hyper aggro. They're not keeping any damage on their characters
Okay.
unless
Yeah.
they're playing a bodyguard or something. Although I think Pluto is going to be a pretty well played character that Go-Go will
Right.
work nicely into. But yeah, I'm not entirely convinced on that. What do you think, Brad?
Yeah, I'm not certain. It's one of those things where like we're so early in the set, we're not even in I mean, I just need to see. I need to see how things develop and determine
Well,
what
I
she's
just
gonna do. I don't know. I mean,
I think if
I
anything,
think that she makes any Emerald deck better. But like
Yeah.
Andy said, if it's low to the ground where they don't hold the damage,
I
she's
I
just
was
coming
just
out and
thinking
being
about it
evasive.
from the perspective of, when we saw some of the earlier Baja Blasts and Shimmering Skies, a lot of them were like build, so like the other opponent was gaining lore, and then you took control late in the game. And one of the real fundamental problems with that strategy, though, is like a lot of those strategies, is if the game gets too far away from you, it can be really hard to get back. And so a card like Go-Go can help you maintain some sort of lore presence relatively earlier in the game, because you can ramp like Go-Go's not a card you want to play on curve.
right.
You don't want to play on 2. You want to play this on 4 at the earliest.
Yeah.
Potentially when it's got some things, preferably
target,
when
right?
another, it's got a target, right, to get its
I think
value.
her best deck is probably the one we're looking at, the Emerald Amethyst, because for the bounce package, you don't even have to run 4 of her. You can continually reuse the same one. Maybe cut it down to 2 if you're looking for space elsewhere to finish out the game. But I think she's great.
I don't know that the like I think in Sapphire, honestly, the win the game now combo is really the lucky dime, right? And I think Sapphire got a few maybe better cards for that. I do like the 2-drop Hiram that they got, the 0/2/3 lore. They got some other characters that give ward fairly well and additional lore, right? That Alice card would work really well with a lucky dime. And all of those can just sort of be slotted in. I think the Baja Blast, the green, sort of brings tempo, and some of the draw in that Clarabelle was really the thing we saw last set.
Yeah.
or at least at the beginning. I do think if you sort of went all in on this go-go, you would probably want maybe like Rush, right? So like a Ruby Emerald, where maybe some actions with like some of the Half Shark and the Robin Hood, and then you pair, so you can do damaging actions like Teeth and Ambitions, and you pair that with Rush characters that can go in super goof. Imagine super goofing into
Oop.
something and super peepo. Sorry, my
okay,
bad. And going in on something, getting 2 lore, putting 2 damage on it, and then the next turn following up with a go and getting 2 more lore off of that. I do think Brad's probably right. This is probably going to be the best spot for it because purple, Amethyst loves free lore.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, the bounce package makes a lot of sense too, right? So you can play it and bounce it back into your hand
there's
continually play. And then your opponent knows you've got it, so they've got to figure out what they're going to do. They've either got to figure out a way to heal their characters or trade them so that there's no way that you can get the lore advantage on that.
Imagine you're a Ruby Amethyst player, right? And you've just played Maui and you've Mauied into a goat, right? And then the Emerald player plays a go and gets 4 lore off of your Maui and then bounces the go back to their hand. What do you do now? Like your Maui is stuck on the board. You can't get rid of it. It's still there with 4 damage on it. You can't heal it. There's no healing in Ruby Amethyst, and they have a go in their hand. So that goat bounce is the same concept when Ruby Amethyst or someone bounced the goat back to their hand, and you're just like, well, if I don't have a whole new world or a Bucky handy,
you hope that you can bounce your Maui back into your hand to basically. That's
you're right.
I think that's the answer you're hoping for.
But yeah, it could be rough.
I'm not even sure I know the answer to this. But could you Teeth and Ambitions your own card if you don't have another target to give 2 damage to kill it? Like, could you do that if you needed to?
I'm pretty sure.
So you're saying deal 4 damage to your own character? Because you automatically do 2 to it.
Yeah.
Yep. It's deal 2 damage to a chosen character of yours, deal 2 damage to another chosen character.
Oh, but another chosen character means it has to be a different one.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
So if you didn't have another target, you couldn't do it.
I don't know.
Yeah, but you'd have the bounced character. So in that scenario, the go on the Maui, even if those were the only ones on the board, the goat was banished. You play the go on the Maui, you get 4 lore. You bounce it with either a fox or a snake. You'll have that as a target for.
Listen, I'm not saying that's an ideal pathway here. I was actually just kind of like curious. So, like that's one of those like puzzles you see on Twitter where it's like how do you win out of this situation? How do you get out of this situation? So just a thought I have on the Baja Blast deck here. What about the Goofy? The Emerald Goofy, the green
ward
Goofy.
that gives ward.
Ward that gives ward when quests.
More ward. Oh my god.
Yeah. I've been tinkering with a blue steel list that uses the giving ward thing. And honestly, I don't love it. Right? Like I think Alice is great because it gives ward and an extra lore. But both the Alice and the Goofy feel very, very vulnerable to like they essentially give word once, right? And it's like, it dies to a fox very easily. So a lot of people say it's really strong. I'm gonna definitely test it out. I think it's worth testing, but a 5 cost 1/4 is very understated. 3 lore is nice, but you're getting 3 lore and you're giving ward once for 5 cost. So it better be a very valuable use of that ward, right?
Yeah. So the other deck I want to talk about is our boy or Brad's boy, Ding Con Fom.
Yeah.
And sticking here with Sapphire Ruby. There's a card that's missing out of this deck, though.
Yeah. Dig.
Fishbone.
I
Oh,
had Dig. I had him
Dig.
sign that card for me, and then he
Dig
had
a
to
little
finally
deep.
pull it out from his
And then he
deck.
abandons it.
Yeah.
But he adds here 4.
My lighting's terrible.
Sail the Azurite Sea.
Yeah, and he's actually Andy's gonna love this. He's running 61.
yeah, I know. He I think he said in the interview that essentially this list is just one jump swapped for sale. But he does notoriously not have Fishbone Quill, which almost cost him. I think it did cost him 1 game, but it almost cost him the match against. It was against Bivens, I believe, right? In the Steel Song. So he had Whole New World, and really Fishbone. You play that Fishbone, and a Whole New World just feels a whole less great, So, but he didn't have it. But he still won the match. It was still good. I think he said the Mufasa was in his list for
That was his
the fun.
61st card that he literally put in just for fun. Yep.
Yeah.
And it actually did work too. I think in game 2 or 3, he actually got to do Mufasa and all the stuff.
Win more.
Fun.
It was win more. Let's be real. I think
probably.
he was winning, and he was then winning more.
Though I have mixed feelings about the about Fishbone Quill. It's just one of those cards that was definitely a staple of this deck for a long time. And I'm just not sure it's a staple of this deck any longer. Certainly not a 4 of, in my opinion. Because I think it's in my opinion, there are better ramp options, and it's a tempo loss and its real good utility is in the whole new battle against the Whole New World, right? I think that's its real main utility.
Well, it relies on cards in hand, right?
Yeah.
So its big thing is that the ink doesn't come into play exerted.
Yeah.
So it is really useful. I think it's still going to be considered anytime that you want to go to 5, right? All of these other ramp on 2s are great because you want to go to 4. You want to go to 4 for Hiram, for Tala, for was the new Pluto is on 4 is a 4-drop, right? Whatever you want to get to on 4, those 2 ramps are the best. Fishbone is still really the only way to get to 5 on turn 4 instead of turn 4 on turn 3. But it definitely it requires card in hand, whereas something like what is the one that takes it from your discard? I'm blanking.
Great Stone Dragon.
Great Stone Dragon. Yes.
I love that card.
That is a much, much better card for consistent ramp and value ramp. The card that's going in your inkwell is so much better than coming out of your hand.
Right.
But I think
coming out of your discard, you mean? Yeah.
Right. Well, it's coming out of you. That's better than it coming out of your hand like Fishbone would, right? But it's just it can't be done to ramp you on 3 to go to 5. So I think Fishbone will always be a consideration for any Sapphire deck, but I understand why it's not needed in Din's deck or potentially other Sapphire decks going forward.
Yeah. Any last thoughts?
Nope.
No, I'm excited. Well, actually, what are you gonna play? So I don't know if either of you are gonna show up at VOTW tomorrow night or last night when you're listening to this. Time travelers here, but I've already got a list built. Kirsten might steal it from me, so I might have to build a different one for myself. But assuming you're showing up to LGS tomorrow, What are you playing? What are you putting together? What are you thinking?
I think I have the cards I need to run a
Yeah,
new.
assume you have the cards you need too, because I'll lend you whatever you need. You
Yeah,
know, you hand draw a proxy. I'm sure no one will care.
Yeah, there was a proxy of the content creators today.
Yeah,
Maui Stark Sailor.
Taylor, that was
so funny.
He said someone else drew it for him, but that
Yeah.
was awesome looking. They made them submit these deck lists, by the way, the day after the set came out, and they specifically told them, "Look, we're not. You can just put whatever you want down there. If you don't have the cards, you don't have the cards. You can use proxies," which I think is a great option.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I'm going to stay on the Blurple train at least to try this out. I like the new Alice card. I like the new Genie, and I really want to experiment with Baymax. And if the Scar, the new Rush Scar, doesn't work, at least it's got really cool art, and I'll get to play that a few times. So
Okay,
that's what I'm doing. It's of course inspired by Humble and Lindsay again from the community that who are much better at deck building than I am, but. Yeah, that's probably what I'm running. Otherwise, I got a red fossa that I'm missing. I'm probably missing a few things, but
that is one we didn't talk about that Vince won't let me talk about here because we're running out of time. But I do think ketchup mustard decks, some of those have been looking
really good.
Mega spicy.
Yep.
Yeah. Honestly, that's kind of what I was looking at. I just don't have all the cards for it.
Ketchup
Well,
mustard.
that's what
You're gonna play the McDonald's deck.
Yeah. I just don't.
I'm
I
loving
don't think. I'd love to try to go back to Ruby Amethyst and try to make it work, but I'm not feeling it.
So you still got your Ruby Amethyst built from last set, right?
I do.
Okay, just put 4 genies in it. I don't even know what
That's
cards we
it.
take out, but like
out
that's
the
really
rabbit.
the only thing that gets thrown in there. No, rabbit probably still stays in that list. But
You got to understand that, like, there better be a really great reason for Andy to replace Rabbit. Like, Rabbit is the best card in Amethyst.
really good.
My Blurple's not running Rabbit.
Well, that's because you're running the wrong Blurple, is what Andy
Not
would
my
say.
Blurple, I should say, but the Blurple I'm going to run's not running Rabbit.
That's interesting. But
What about
yeah,
you,
like,
Andy?
I have a Amethyst Steel list built. I am dying to play our Overlord Gantu.
Gantu.
Yes, all hail.
Gantu.
I am dying to play Calhoun, who we may or may not talk about later in this episode. Mr. Big, I don't even think he's in the list I'm playing. I'm going to try and squeeze him in there anyway because I think he's such a good card.
The only card I would have to deal with him is Tipo.
I know. Mr. Big is so good. Well, you have direct damage, right?
Yeah.
Oh, no, you're in Blurple. In Steel, if it's not Steel, it's...
Aren't you running Let It Go?
No, it'd be Tipo or Alice could deal with Mr. Big and Hades, but that's it.
Yeah.
All
Well,
right.
Oh, I guess in Broom.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm
All
finding
right.
more and more options here.
Any
But,
last
did you
thoughts?
wait, you have a
Did you
one.
say what
you
you're
have a-
doing?
Wait, you have a 1 damage broom?
Yeah, I said potentially ketchup mustard.
Oh, Ketchup Mustard. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's the Illuminary Keeper, the one drop.
Cool.
Oh, right.
That's it for me. I'm sorry, Vince.
All right. No, you're good.
I'm the
We're
mayor.
just keep talking, Brad. The next.
I am the mayor.
What other cards are in that list? I
I'm
want
gonna
to see
find out
Vince
hopefully tomorrow.
more and more
Record
mad.
scratch.
Hades is like head's gonna catch on fire.
No, it's gonna be more like anger from Inside Out. Who's the comedian who does that? It's not. It's something Black, right?
Oh, Lewis Black. Yeah.
Lewis Black.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's me right now. All right. Well, let us know what you're playing in the Azurite Sea, and let us know what you're brewing down below. Or again, as always, join the conversation on our Discord. And this week's villain of the week, Andy.
Apologies to Gantu. This week's villain of the week is Calhoun Marine Sergeant. She is a set 6 Azurite Sea card. I guess we probably already knew that. Storyborn hero, Steel, rare card, 2 cost, uninkable, 3 strength, 2 willpower, quests for 1 lore, resist +1, and has the ability level up. During your turn, whenever this character banishes another character in a challenge, gain 2 lore. And the art is by Kevin Siddhartha. Probably pronounced that wrong. My apologies. But really, Calhoun is a great card.
Yes.
Resist +1. It's got the Robin Hood effect. Its really only downside is uninkability, I think. But at a lower cost, uninkable, I do really. It doesn't really matter as much, know, because it's easier to get out there. And I will say this is kind of, predicting a bit of the, we're doing what's the movie where they preempt the crime before it
Minority
happens?
Report.
Minority. We're doing a little bit of a Minority Report here by naming Calhoun the villain of the week, because we do understand the set is very, very new, but even in the limited amount of sort of time we've seen with this card, I think it is quite the menace. I was talking to Brad earlier about how this card is just basically in every single steel list that anyone is building right now. It doesn't matter the color combination. You need a 2-drop. How about Smee? How about Calhoun? It's a great conversation to have.
Yep.
Why not
Brad?
both? Yeah. No, she she comes down at any time, and is just a force to be reckoned with. Like, he already mentioned the Robin Hood effect, and she's got that resist that keeps her alive a little bit longer. You bring her out on 2 if you need to. She survives Storm. She, it's going to take a big strength to take care of her. And I feel like she's an immediate. I got to deal with that, because she, my lower to the ground characters are just going to get picked off by her, do 1 less damage to her, and she could potentially get, 2 to 5 lore just, for existing, for, doing things for a couple turns. As Andy pointed out, people are already finding, that she slots in really easily, and that low cost, I think, just allows you to play her at any time and do something with her. So that 3 strength is pretty menacing, and it's Jane Lynch on a card, so who could be mad at it?
Well, I think one thing is you talk about the Robin Hood effect, and I think it's important to understand that, in some ways, while it has that same effect, in this instance, it's actually better, because you could just quest with Robin Hood and end up with the exact same effect. It's 2 lore, 2 lore. This here, you banish a character, and you're actually getting more value than it being just a quest for 1. So there is some incentive. Plus, it's got that resist, so it can have more favorable trades in the early game. It's like, imagine too, with they play. You've played this, and like they have no other option, and they play the 2-drop 0-2 Hiram that quests for 3 and stuff. And it's like, well, you can just trade right into that and take no damage, and then this sticks around.
Everyone takes no damage from that Hiram. He's a 0-2, Vince.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying that, but there are other cards too. A lot of 1-drop cards you're going to be able to favorably trade into this. Even a lot of 2-drop cards, that gets a little bit dicier. But you can generally favorably trade into. What are some, I think probably it's the 1/4s, 1-drops, right?
Well, there's
Daisy.
no 1/4 1-drops besides Daisy.
Daisy, right? That's what
the 0/4s in Nala. I think it really threatens, playing this on curve means that, 1, it can quest, and almost anything on 1, 2, and 3 it's going to trade with, essentially. And it also stops the opponent from being able to quest with most of their 1, 2, and 3s, because, like you said, it can trade favorably and gain 2 lore out of it as well, which is, you can't just, before you could just say, all right, well, I'm just going to quest with my Olaf, right? My Minnie Mouse or even my 2/2, my one cost 2/2 or something. I'm just gonna quest with it, right? That's fine. You'll trade with it favorably with your Smee or something like that, and then you'll have some extra damage on it. But with Calhoun, you're giving up that you can't make that same decision. Just say that's fine. I'll pay. I'll let this character get banished so that I can gain its lore. Well, no, you're giving additional lore to your opponent by setting up a favorable trade for them with this Calhoun. So in some ways, it's arguably better than the Smee. It has the same effect where when turned sideways, it is hard to remove and not also trade. It just has less lore.
Yeah, Ruby got that new Moana that does trade with her. So that's a problem for a very Ruby heavy.
Only with a captain.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Only with a captain. And although Piglet is a captain, that's probably the best 2-drop captain to follow up with.
And Brad will enjoy that this is a Marine Sergeant, so he can pew, 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 pew more on the board. But yeah, I think it's a good card. And I think we're, like you said, we're already seeing it in decks in these, that are in competition right now. I think it's a card we're going to see continually in a lot of steel decks, if not most steel decks.
Not even to mention limited this past weekend. Like any deck she was in, she did work, so it's
for sure.
Yeah. Great card to get in a limited format.
DeCandio has it in his top 8 from SSG, which was a recent event. Where he has 4 of them in there, along with the Mr. Smees. You said before what he who was it that said he'd play 8 Smees if he could?
Bivens,
yeah, Bivens said that. Well, Calhoun is pretty much the same thing. Very, very valuable card to have there.
Yeah. Smee's probably a better card in the sense that it's inkable and quests for 2.
Aggro. It depends. If you're going more aggressive than it is, for sure. If you don't care about the aggressiveness as much, I do think Calhoun is a pretty nice card.
Yeah. Well, any thoughts before we take this case in front of the Galactic Council Chamber?
No, let's
get a verdict.
To it.
All right. Well, for those that don't know, we bring all of our cards to the Galactic Council Chamber, where Chief Justice Villain Vince Hayden presides, along with Justice Brad, the Mayor, and Justice Andy, Villain Andy, and where we will make arguments, hear arguments on whether this card should be errata'd or banned, and make a final judgment. Gentlemen, make your arguments.
I motion to dismiss this case. I have no arguments tonight.
All
sir.
Right.
Your Honor.
Andy.
I tend to want to second Justice Brad's motion here. I do think it is a bit early. We don't quite have all of the evidence. We may have rushed to bring this case in front of the Galactic Council. However, I do understand that this card does pose quite the menace to society, and if we would like to be proactive rather than reactive about this problem, I think that perhaps we could just tell everyone, as you open your packs and you pull out a Calhoun, make sure you take your Sharpie and you adjust the 2 lore to 1 lore. When banished, they gain 1 lore, not 2. I think that would be a reasonable errata. If we can all pinky promise right now, everyone, that we're going to do that to all of our Calhouns, and that's how it'll work going forward, then I'm cool with it. Otherwise, maybe we just, maybe we let Calhoun run free and you know, they'll come back later and we'll deal with it then.
All right. Well, given that we now have a motion to dismiss and a motion for errata, it comes down once again to the Chief Justice to make his argument and final decision. I agree with Andy here, just for the fun of it, that we can't dismiss this case out of hand. We can always rehear it on appeal in the future. But for right now, I do agree. I was going to argue to say that we should take resist off of it, and then it would be fine. But
What?
I
Vince
know.
wants to remove
Yeah.
resist. This card is completely unplayable without resist. All cards without resist are unplayable.
This is
Oh
the
my
set where
goodness.
resist takes over. It means something.
I know. How could you do this to the set of resistance?
The
set
first
of
card
resistance.
that we talk about with resist, and you want to remove it.
That'd be a great set name of like the resistance of the Inklings or something like that. I don't know. But I will agree that I think Andy is correct in his errata that we should change the 2 to the 1. So the final judgment of the Galactic Council is
Objection.
Calhoun is errata.
Ah.
Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And as always, join the conversation on Discord. I'm going to say it until you all join us on our conversation on Discord. Join us now. And with that, if you been going,
sorry, didn't mean to interrupt your closer. I was going to say joining our Discord and joining this segment could be a jury of our peers. Oh, crickets.
Motion denied. No, I'm just kidding. No, absolutely. We want to hear folks and let us know who you think should be the villain of the week and who we should be tried in the Galactic Council chamber. And with that,
if you want to appeal Calhoun, that's also down in the comments too, right? We need someone to submit the appeal.
Yeah, if they want to appeal, they can submit a comment and write us. But it takes a lot of comments. It's not just one comment. So you gotta rally support, popular demand, for that. But if you've enjoyed this episode, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen. Give us a like and subscribe on YouTube. And be sure to hit that bell icon to be notified of our next episode. Join us on our Discord to help us continue plotting our devious plans. You can also ask the villains questions by commenting on YouTube, tagging us on Twitter at Rules of Villainy, or in our Discord. We're also on Blue Sky, so check us out there. Until next week, stay safe, fellow villains. Be wary of wannabe heroes who want to disrupt your villainous plans. And as always, remember the rules of villainy.
Yay! Did it.